that down. I want to see if I can't flatten it. Just lay it down. 290 pounds. Alright, we're going to shove that up in that one there. And a couple little more of these pieces here. And we're going to clean this. And we're going to crack those. Okay, we're gonna get set up over here now. I think I broke my gantry last time, or it's holding on by a whim. Let me get my extension. Okay, we got a little stack of 1,000 watters now. Most of these are probably gonna be half aluminum, half copper. There's quite a few double coppers here, and quite a few double coppers over here. I'm actually gonna start with these small ones first, which is not normally how I start. Typically in the past, I always used to do the big ones first to recover, because you recover per cycle, you're recovering so much more copper than the small ones. So I would always start with the big ones in case something broke and I needed to like sell copper off the next day. I would always, you know, get those 1,000 watt nuggets out of there first. We might be able to shim it with some transformer plates so we don't have to take it apart. But it's probably not going to last because it explodes. Yeah. Hallelujah. Nothing's going right now. Okay. Okay, I had all kinds of problems with my press, but we did get a nice little chunk of #2 copper and a nice bit of cast, unfortunately. This press, she's just been rode hard and put up wet. It's 15 years old. It's probably cracked hundreds of thousands of transformers, and as you can see, it's been repaired over and over and over again. I mean, this thing behind here is fallen apart many times. It's got a 1/2-inch plate on it now. You can tell by that bend right there. This whole thing has been tweaked. It's got gussets in the corner. This started off as a 20-ton Harbor Freight press. I welded a beam up in here for extra support. I put a C-channel across the top for extra support, and then put 1/2-inch plate all up in here because this whole thing was tweaking. I've had a 50-ton ram in here one time, but that was just way too slow, and that's what started tweaking everything. But this is actually a 25-ton Enerpack cylinder, and it is you know, 5 tons more than this machine is supposed to have in it. And we're pressing the crap out of this thing. This thing, it was just something I threw together one day out of scrap, and 15 years later, now I don't know when the GoPro died, but if you can see, when I got into a good groove of the bigger transformers, the problem with the small transformers is let's see if I can find one. Okay, so when I originally built this machine, okay, there's a bunch of different widths and heights, okay, and depths. Or actually the width, there's really only 2 different width-wise, okay, and structure-wise, there's really only 2, okay. You have the 400s and 1000s and 1500s, which are all the same width here. They vary on the height and depth. That has no bearing on anything in the machine. The height, there's plenty of clearance and plenty of stroke. The depth, this thing's big enough to accommodate everything. Now, as for breaking the weld, okay, you want, let me grab one of these. This is what it looks like, okay? Now I'm pressing down right here, and that actually should be this whole piece. Like, that's actually kind of thin. I never had problems with the top breaking. It's always this bottom side over here, and it's always been this side for whatever reason. And I think it has something to do with this thing's tweaked, and it's been like that for years. To get a good shear, to get that weld to break right there, you want this sitting as close to the weld as possible. Now, what I had to do is to get it as close to this weld as possible, but still be able to break the small ones, I had to find the biggest square stock that I can find, basically the same size as this, so that it's right there. Now, ultimately, unfortunately, it really doesn't warrant me doing this because there's not that many transformers left. I mean, I probably should rebuild this. I would make this sit on top of a plate of like some AR500 steel or something like that. Some real abrasive resistant, hard steel, okay? Something that's not gonna, this is just regular old 1/2-inch soft square stock. There's nothing special about it. Now, I did face weld that and grind it down, and it probably is a little work hardened, but it's not, and it's actually, you can already see it's starting to bend down. It's already sloped. This one's nice and crisp, and it allows that transformer to kick off. It just, I've always had problems with that side. But what I would do is I would make a double slider. I'd have another knob over here where I could adjust this plate right here underneath the side, And then the side, this whole thing here, wouldn't have these on it. This is all one piece. It would just be the angle sliding on top of that plate. So when I adjust in for the small ones, it would be like that. And then when I would adjust for these and open it back up, I would bring this out all the way to the edge of that weld. Now on the big ones, I really don't ever have problems with them kicking off. It's these small ones, and I think it's because this is pushed so far over and it's pulling the plate out, and it's rocking up, you know. I had to tighten those down to keep this from, if you know, looking back, if this here was lower and pushing more down on the middle, it's actually 2/3 up, so it allows us to kick back. You know, I really didn't think about that when I built it. I just threw it together and it worked. I mean, when it works, this is by far, other than a big high-dollar hammer mill, the best setup for processing these type of transformers. I haven't seen anything better. And you know, especially with the aluminum and copper ones mixed, a hammer mill is just going to mix all the aluminum and copper together. That's going to be a nightmare to separate. This one you can actually feel right in your hand and separate it right on the back end relatively easy. And when it's cranking, I'm pumping out 5 a minute over there. This machine, I think I maxed out at somewhere 10 or 11 a minute when you're on it. So you know, you're making some serious money at that point. So we're gonna get this stuff weighed up along with everything else, and that's probably gonna be it for today. I wanted to strip some wire, but we've been at this for a long time and I'm exhausted. Oh, what do we got? Someone out here? Always people out here eyeballing my scrap. Okay, this is pretty much what we did today. We had 111 pounds of number 2 copper. Now, I'm going off of some prices that I got like earlier last week. It's actually Saturday, so probably Wednesday I got these numbers, or maybe even Monday. I don't remember. I haven't been to scrapyard in like a week, so these are my last known numbers. So they're gonna be pretty close, plus or minus, whatever. 365 for number 2 copper, $405.15. We cranked that out in like less than an hour, even with all the problems I had. Old sheet, $278, 66 cents a pound, $183.48. Cast aluminum, 1,449 pounds, 64 cents a pound, $927.36. And then the sheet, stainless steel, 147 pounds. I'm gonna say 40 cents. It's either plus or minus 5 there. 58.85 for a total of 74.79. Now, let's go off of what we just processed today, which will be minus the 976 a cast. I did the math. It was like 540 something dollars. So 1578. Let's just say $1,000. Me and Oliver produced today. Now I had picked up most of that stuff. That trail, we pretty much just processed that trailer, and all that came from 2 separate pickups. Took me about an hour each there, so I had 2 hours into that, and probably 350 bucks, I think. I bought all that stuff as iron aluminum. Now we still have more scrap. There's still all the number 1 insulated wire I got. There's still a whole pallet full of fluorescent fixtures, and there was a whole bunch of fluorescent tubes. I charged them to take to the landfill for them. So if you come this far, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, because we still have tons of scrap to go through. The shop is still a mess. The front of the shop is still a mess. So we need to clean up, and cleaning up means more scrapping, because it's pretty much all scrap. Oh, and today I finally ran my tank out of fuel. I think I already said that, but it's super nice having 2 tanks. It's like, that's another game changer. I can now, when that one starts getting around like halfway or down, I'll go fill it up, or I'll fill that up when I'm in the area or whatever. But ultimately, I think I'm going to actually get 2 more tanks. That way I have 2 for each forklift. But we have so much stuff. We got so much extrusions I didn't even weigh. So we're going to be back here tomorrow. And I think tomorrow what I'm going to do is focus on copper and extrusions. We're going to knock out these pallets. We're going to pull this high dollar extrusion. We're going to clear the table, because I need to set up the stator wrecker. I have them big generators out front. I got motors like this laying all over the shop, and it's time to get them out of here. So we're at about 1,500 ready to go. I'm hoping by the end of tomorrow we can double that. If I start pulling some copper and this extrusions, I'm gonna say we're easily gonna have $600. There's easily gonna be $600 worth of extrusions. And then I'm sure I can pull between the wire. That basket's really heavy. And the other transformers. These, the generator stators. I'm sure we can pull another 1,000. Or maybe even 2,000. I don't know. We got some nice heat sinks here. Look at that. Big boys. We'll try to get all of that tomorrow. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Dancing. You ever seen your copper dance before? These springs look pretty dangerous. Crazy, this thing just started making a weird noise. We got one more. Oh. Oh man, good luck salvaging that. Although he can probably just get the part number and get a new one, but at least he's getting all the parts.